Hey, this is Andrew from the band Dirty Kings, and you're watching CMS TV.
It is Chris Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin. Glad to be here once again, and we are going to be talking a band that I wasn't aware of. I feel like a douche that there's three of these out here, and I didn't know it. The new record is simply called Three, or Dirty Kings 3. The band is the Dirty Kings, and here to talk all about it is the main man himself from the band. It is Mr. Andrew Sample. Andrew, how are you, man?
I'm good, Chris. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, glad to have you, man. And like I said at the start, man, I'm almost embarrassed that I did not know your music because now that I've had a few weeks to really kind of not only listen to the new record, but listen back sell as well, I don't know how to describe it. I'm going to let you do that. But it's compelling in a lot of ways. There's so many elements of so many things without being any of it. I mean, I had somebody before you even start out. I had somebody ask me today about who I was interviewing because that's what I do, and they asked me. I said, I'm interviewing Dirty Kings. And I interviewed Savatage, so they knew Savatage.
Sure.
And then it was like, well, what is Dirty Kings? I was like, well, there's sort of a Clutch thing, and there's sort of a Kiss thing, and there's sort of a, classic rock and little modern, but nothing modern rock. This is hard music to describe. So I'll let you know what you feel like you're creating. So what are you creating and what do you tell people?
You're correct on all those things, but also none of those things, right? At the same time. We are a twin guitar hard rock band.
Okay.
That's how we kind of decide or describe ourselves in a nutshell. Our main influences are, 70s and 80s bands, Kiss, Thin Lizzy, UFO, those bands that rely on twin guitar, harmonies here and there, great vocals, good backing vocals, vocal harmonies, things like that. But we do have people that say, hey, you got a little bit of Clutch influence, or they may name a New Orleans band, like the New Orleans sludge scene or desert rock. Yes, all of that I think we've taken in, especially for this record, Dirty Kings 3, I think is the widest variety of influences for us and styles. Everything from the Stones and Zeppelin to, Metallica and the new wave of British heavy metal, I think is in this record. So that's great to hear that you're saying that it's hard to describe our music, because it is. But to boil it down, twin guitar, hard rock, pretty bare bones.
Sure. When you create music like this, is it difficult to manage it? And what I mean by that specifically is when you're writing music, a lot of people, you take Kill Switch Engage. I'm just throwing any band out there. They know what they're supposed to sound like, and they know immediately if they don't. You know what I mean?
Yes.
With you guys pulling a lot of different influences from here and there. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Or is it both from time to time, depending on how it comes together?
We think it's a very good thing, especially being 10 years into this band now. It'll be my 10th year with the band later this year. They were around for a couple years before me without a lead singer, before they really started churning out original music. But so as a band that's been around for 10 years or a little bit more, we don't have a record label. We don't have management. We don't have a legal team. We do everything ourselves. So with that grants us 100% control over everything that we do. I think with our first record, that was, hey, this is the first batch of 10 or 11 songs that we've written as a band. We put that out as a record. I think the second record, Crown Jewel, that was released, I think that was more of a concentration for us to make sure that we had a little bit of this and a little bit of that on the record, and we wanted to make sure that we had something that people could consider us. But with this record, we didn't leave anything on the table. If somebody brought in an idea that they really believed in that was developed, We didn't say no to it, even if it was uncomfortable. We definitely wrote outside of our comfort zones on this record. And with that came a big variance of song styles. At the same time, I think that we developed the vocals quite a bit more on this third record as well. The backing vocals specifically, I wrote lines just for the guys to sing as backups that I wasn't singing on. So we really broadened the vocals as well, which I think brought more melodic tendencies in some of these songs, especially the first single, Out of Line. That chorus was really something that we struggled with as far as like, does this sound like us? And if it doesn't, well, screw it. Let's make it sound like us. And we worked on it until we were comfortable with it. So we're very proud of the fact that we wrote outside and maybe above ourselves on this record to have this this array of styles for Dirty Kings 3.
Right on. For Dirty Kings 3, you know, playing off of what you just said here, when you were putting it together, was there a conscious effort to go further than you had with Crown Jewel? Meaning, you know, I like this and I like that, but it's not quite where we want to be. Like you, and you know this, man, you've been in the business forever. Every single band in the world thinks that whatever they just did, greatest thing that they've ever touched.
Yeah.
Until 3 months later, and then it's like, this sucks, and I changed this, and I changed that, and I changed that. You know, so for you guys, when you were putting this together, I'm sure you were looking back at Crown Jewel, at least subliminally, and saying, like some of this, wish we would have done these 10 things different. This is what we're going to do with Dirty Kings 3. Is that how it came to play?
I tell you what, I don't think there was a plan. Rightfully so. But I will say personally, once we were about 3, maybe 4 songs into the writing of this record, I think I even told the guys, I was like, I don't know if we're writing a better record than Crown Jewel, because maybe there was this song that was over here, this song over here, this over here. And at the time, I think I was thinking, are they together? Like, is this going to are these supposed to be on the same record? But I was able to get rid of that in my mind and just trust in what we were doing as players and as a band. You know, this lineup, I think we have some magic together, you know. I truly believe that. And, you know, after Crown Jewel was released, you're right. After that record was released, I was like, you know, I wish we would have done this. I think we would have done a better song if we would have done this. I tell you, after hearing this one so many times, and it's been out for 5 or 6 weeks now, I wouldn't change a thing on this record. And I think we all feel that way.
I'll ask you in 6 months. You'll be like, oh, I would change all these things.
Okay. You're on 6 months from now. Let's talk again.
There we go. Exactly. well, Andrew, for not only for you, but for the guys in the band as well, you know, Crown Jewel, for people that don't know, was what, 5-6 years ago, something like that, right? It's
end of 2001. So yeah.
2021. 21.
Wow. Where'd that come from? Record label days, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, 4.5 years between albums, and we certainly didn't expect it to take that long, but also going back to not having a label or management pushing you, we can take all the time we want to. Well, and I'm glad we did, because again, these songs are well developed. We trusted in ourselves as, you know, writers and as editors, you know, to make it right and make sure it was completely finished. So again, you know, I don't think that we left anything on the table. We didn't kick out ideas that, well, that doesn't sound like us, let's just work on something else. But no, let's take that idea and keep working it until it's comfortable. So hopefully that answers that well.
Sure.
Hey, metalheads! Tired of waiting for new episodes? Crave the real, raw, classic metal show? For just $4.99 a month, you can become a CMS VIP. You get every episode a full week early, completely uncensored, and 100% commercial-free. It's the only place to interact directly with the show, plus you score the Fast Pass, so your song requests get bumped straight to the head of the line on every live version. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe right now at classicmetalshow.locals.com and become a CMS VIP today.
Well, for a band that does not have a signature hit, we'll say, For, and obviously the other thing that happened between then and now was that little global thing that took everybody off the map for 5 years.
Sure.
It took a lot of bands at your level out completely, where bands just stopped because they couldn't get together, or it didn't feel like they would get back together, and it didn't feel the same, whatever. Did you guys have that moment yourself? And if not, how did you keep from getting into that pit?
Well, Jameson, our drummer, joined the band in 2020. I'm thinking in the summertime. So it was during the first 6 months of pandemic.
Okay.
We played a couple of shows live with him. That's back when everybody was distancing and had masks on in the audience, and we would have masks on until we played. And that was our goal, was like get a couple of albums below our belt, or a couple of live shows with JMO, and just concentrate on writing and getting this record done. So for us, when the Crown Jewel time, it was perfect because we didn't have a lot of live shows to play, so we can concentrate on writing the end of that record and recording it and putting that out. But supporting that record after it came out was still tough because, man, we were playing 2-3 shows a month before pandemic regularly, and after coming out with Crown Jewel, we were like, well, we were playing like live stream shows and things like that, which were, those were odd for everybody. So I think we kind of built back up since then. We still don't play as many shows as we did before pandemic, because some of the clubs shut down, just like a lot of the bands shut down. We don't have as many live music venues here in Colorado as we did before pandemic. So, the opportunities aren't quite what they used to be, which is okay with us now. Looking back, we're 5 years older now, some of us have grandkids now. So there's, life changes as well. But as with everything in life, I think you always want to do better with quality over quantity. And so our shows that we play now, I think, are better supported. They're better promoted, and there's better outcomes as well. So I don't think pandemic really, I think for us, we took advantage of it in the right way because, again, we were recording our second record when everything really hit and kind of, stopped the world for a while. But, we used it to our advantage,
Right on. Well, man, rock fans around everywhere always say these days, they say they want real rock back. And I can't tell you how many times I hear same stupid comment, and I will slam everybody every time when they say there's nothing good now. You hear that so often, and that's just straight lazy, because I'll argue there's more good than there was in the absolute heyday. I don't care what you say the heyday is, 70s, 80s, even 90s. If you dig and you don't look for something that has 13 million streams or whatever, you just look for something and listen to it, there's tons of great music out there, and there's more ways than ever to get to that. As a guy in a band, how do you react to that, man? Especially, and as somebody that's worked in the business, I mean, how to promote a band. If nothing else, for people that don't know, Andrew used to be a publicist, so he knows how to work a band.
Absolutely.
That has to drive you crazy when people say stuff like that.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, by saying it's just pure laziness. Now, if you just listen to FM radio and are, wanting your MTV back, well, then you're not going to find what's out there now, but now more than ever. Yeah. I mean, the way music is absorbed now, you have to go digging for it a little bit, but that's rewarding when you find something, or you're turned on to something that was right in front of your face. All you had to do was go to this side or that side, or I think the Bandcamp is one of the great resources that is still underused. We love our Bandcamp page because you can stream us from around the world. You can listen to our records. If you like it, you can buy one of our LPs, one of our CDs, one of our t-shirts from our Bandcamp page. It's not just a streaming service. It's a service for bands to move physical product. And I think we're stupid if we think that physical product is going to come back and be the main way that people listen to music. It's not going to happen. It's always going to be streaming from here on out. But the fact that vinyl is so popular now, CDs are coming back. Bands always do limited run cassettes now. All those formats are still valid. So getting back to your question, your topic, yeah, it's pure laziness if people don't think there's nothing good that's new out there. You're just not looking, or ask a music fan, ask somebody that used to do what I do, that used to be a publicist or a radio promoter guy. Go to a local record store and ask the guy sitting behind the counter, what's new that this is what I like. What should I look at now? What should I listen to? I think you're right. It comes back to pure laziness.
No, I 1,000% agree. And the other thing that I think is frustrating, and it has to frustrate you as a band, especially in the 80s, but also probably to the mid 90s, the big bands took care of the little bands. It always took care, the bands fed the scene. All of my CDs, whether it's my hair metal years or my death metal years or whatever era I was in myself, was always fed. There was always a big band. Like in 1990, I kind of transitioned out of hair metal into death metal. And I started where most people started. I started with Cannibal Corpse, Butchered at Birth, and then Sepultura Rise. Those were like my two starters of extreme metal. But then when I saw those bands, then I would see, who's this Immolation band, or who's this,
Malevolent Creation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you would be, and even in the 80s, they did that. I remember seeing Kiss and getting Slaughter, discovering Slaughter, because I was there in time to see Kiss or earlier. The establishment used to take care of the scene. I don't think the establishment cares about the scene anymore. The establishment's fine if it dies, as long as they still have a gig. And that's horrible. I think that does more damage than even Spotify or anything has done.
I think you're right. And going back to the 80s and 90s, tours that would have 3 and 4 bands back then were usually not fairly, I wouldn't say similar in style, but you could absorb all the bands on a bill. We were just, a friend of mine were just talking about the Complete Control tour of 1992, which was Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Agnostic Front, and Malevolent Creation, I believe. Like Agnostic Front being in that band, like the oddball band, but they were so well established that show went over like gangbusters where I saw it, and I think now, touring bands, it's all buy-ons now. It's not like, hey, we want to take out a younger band that we believe in. It's like, well, who wants to pay the most for this?
Whose dad has a trust fund.
Exactly. So you're right. The establishment doesn't take care of itself. The music industry, record labels don't want to develop bands like they used to. And if you've got somebody who's on the way up, well, put somebody there on that support slot to ride their coattails in there and have those fans pick up on this band. That really doesn't exist anymore. And I kind of miss those years as well, when you went to see your favorite band or band that you've been waiting to see because they're the next big thing. All of a sudden you discover that opening band or that, so it's just really not the same way anymore. You're right.
No, it's not. And I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, I discovered more than half of my collection from seeing bigger bands. That's just how I've always done it. And then recently, if you go to a big show now, obviously I'll use Metallica because that's the easiest one. Who are they taking out? Pantera, that needs no help. Wolfgang
Limp
Van
Bizkit.
Halen. Yeah,
Limp Bizkit. They don't need any help.
They don't need any help. Wolfie really is getting handed everything. He doesn't need the help. It's like, dudes, take out Dirty Honey. And they don't even need the help, but they're still small enough that, they could, or Rival Sons or one of those bands could rise up to be that next piece, and nobody takes care of them. And that's just terrible.
I will say that there's one thing that happened in the last several years that I thought was fantastic. And there's a band from St. Joseph, Missouri, which is a small town about 30 or 40 miles from Kansas City, Missouri. A 3-piece band with 3 brothers in the band. They're called Radke, Radke. They were actually on Century Media, put out one of their records about 10 years ago. Small, kind of I mean, you would call them, I guess, a punk band, but they've got a lot of different styles. They did 3 or 4 shows with the Foo Fighters, took
Oh,
them out.
okay.
And so that to me, I was like, how did that I don't even want to know how that happened. The band Radke is managed by their father,
Okay,
so
right.
it's really a good story, but that's very few and far between.
Mhm.
Anything anymore, like any major tour, you get like radio band out with radio band with
Yeah.
support from radio band. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's boring. I think it's happening right now or about to happen again. Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson again.
Yeah. For
How many times is
14th
that?
time.
Yeah. How many times did the Twins of Evil toured together? Whatever, it's
Yep.
like same old crap going to the same audiences too.
Right.
So
No, it is.
yeah, we need to bring that sort of leading in younger bands in with the old ones again. That needs to come back.
Right on, man. Well, dude, let me pull it back to your band. We've gotten way off track here.
Okay.
But let me pull it back to your band. I wanted to ask you specifically, and I don't know if you will know this or if you're going to have to defer this, but I have some questions about the guitars themselves. I love the textures of guitar that you guys are doing. I don't know if you're layering or if you're double and triple tracking things or what, but there's a sound that just feels real. And I don't know
Okay.
how else to put it other than it feels real. It feels like what I've heard in a million rehearsals, from bands. That's almost always better than the slick produced
Okay.
thing that you come up with. Is that something that you guys actively work on, or is that just the nature of how this band sounds?
It is how we sound because we are a Gibson Marshall band.
Okay.
Our guys play Gibson Les Paul guitars and we run through Marshall amps. And that has been our standard since I joined the band. And it's kind of been a strict thing with us. Our guys, we kind of ventured out a little bit in the studio this time. One of the guys used a Les Paul Jr. We used a Stratocaster on one of the songs. We used a couple of different things to do some different textures, like you said, but we're mainly, you come see us live. My guys are playing Les Pauls through Marshalls. But we do pay close attention to the tones.
Okay.
And when we recorded this record, we had all of that in mind. We record live in the
Okay.
studio. The rhythm tracks are done live. We come in so well rehearsed, and then after that we'll do guitar solos and then vocals over the top. But the music is recorded live, so that gives it a great energy. So those guys aren't sitting in the studio doing individual tracks over and over again. We're getting 1 and 2 takes out of these songs, and then we build on top of that. There isn't 3 or 4 different guitar tracks laid over those.
Okay.
Those are like raw tracks with guitar solos being put over the top of them. But you're right, we pay meticulous attention to the tones that we come out with. And we've always said that we don't need to be produced. We just need to be recorded well.
Right.
Because our raw sounds, we pay a lot of attention to. So I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, and the guitar players will be ecstatic to hear that as well, because we do think it sets us apart from most bands who maybe just don't pay attention to their tones as much as we do.
I think a lot of bands these days are comfortable staying comfortable. You know what I mean? It's and especially on guitar, that is comfortable being comfortable sounds like every piece of AI garbage that I get. That's that comfortable guitar sound that, yeah, it sounds like this or that, but it all sounds the same. I love this because it doesn't sound the same. And of all the different comparisons that I made at the start to all the different bands, you cannot put a finger on a band and say, these guitars sound like these guitars. You can't do it. It's
Awesome.
A great perk to your music.
Thank you for that. And again, I think we just pay attention up front more too. Drums as well. Joey Shapiro, who runs Avalanche Studios, where we record in Denver, he used to play drums for XYZ.
Okay.
He's not the original drummer, but he toured with them, was all in their latter years. Amazing drummer himself. But you walk into his drum room, he's got a rack of 40 different snares up there. And he's like, let's pick one and see what we can come up with. On the Crown Jewel record, we used a snare that belonged to Wild Mick Brown from
nice.
Dawkin
Yeah.
on a couple of tracks. So it's just great to have that at our disposal. And we Frankensteined a drum kit for this new album, Dirty Kings 3. JMO's, our drummer's DW kit, but we brought in this special kick drum. We used this, special Tama snare drum that Joey had in mind for us. So we had kind of a Frankenstein kit, but man, it sounds great. Same, with the guitars, and we didn't borrow any guitars, but again, those guys know how we want to sound. So they just mic us in a way that they're going to capture that sound, and they know that they don't have to tweak the tones. They just, just record us well, give it a little reverb, mix it well. It's good. So I appreciate that you can pick that out.
Excellent. Well, man, on this show, we tell everybody, as I said before, if you're going to stream it, all right, fine. Stream it a couple of times, 2, 3, whatever, but buy something. For God's sakes, buy a hat, a shirt, a vinyl, a disc, a MP3, whatever it is. Buy something to support the band so that the band can continue. You mentioned your Bandcamp. Why don't you give out the link to the Bandcamp as well as any other good places to purchase the actual 3 that benefits you guys?
That would be Bandcamp, of course. So that's dirtykings719.bandcamp.com. Okay. Everywhere else like Spotify and Apple Music, they stream at what? 116
or something.
At 128, you're right. Well, with Bandcamp, it's a higher.
It's 192, I think.
Yeah. So that's a better sounding stream. So you can stream us from there, buy the digital version, the CD version, the LP version. A couple of our T-shirts up there that comes directly to us money wise. As far as that, we don't have a real website to go to. That's just an expense you don't need anymore as an independent band. But you can keep track of us at facebook.com/Dirty Kings, and our Instagram we keep pretty busy there, and that's Dirty Kings 719. So all those places you can follow us at, and again, the best place to purchase our music is Bandcamp if you're not local here in Colorado.
Right on. And if you're local in Colorado, you better be going to a show. Don't be a bum. Be at a show.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Well, man, the record is awesome. It is simply called Dirty Kings 3. I suggest everybody at least check it out. And if you like it, buy it. Please do something good for the band. And Andrew, this has been a lot of fun, man. Thanks for joining me here on Chris Akin.
Me too. And it's such an honor to be with you. And I know, with Charlie's Metal Shop, you and I both grew up with the Metal Shop, and I got a chance to interview Charlie several years back on my old radio show. So this is kind of a full circle moment for this metal kid. So I appreciate that, man. And you too. Congratulations on all the years of pushing metal and just being a friend to all the bands out there.
Well, thank you, man.
Yo, metalheads! You ready to let the beast out of its cage? This ain't just an album. This is Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast. The riffs hit harder. The bass thunders deeper. Dickinson's voice rips your soul in half. Run to the Hills, Hallowed Be Thy Name, the title track that made Eddie immortal. Every track sounds like it's straight from the devil's own amp. Crank it to 11 and feel the power that defined heavy metal. Don't walk. Run to the link at the bottom of the screen and grab this beast right now before it sells out.